of the weirdest thing. This is actually kind of cool. I've never done the Argus fight. I'm being carried right now, so.
Yo, dude, just whatever it takes. You want to
Yep.
get Amonthul's Vision, okay? It's a legendary. It's real.
Amonthul's
Yeah, you want to get that.
Or?
Everything. Yeah, that's what you want to go for. It's
Wait, what do you mean? Like, what type of legendary is it?
So it's a trinket, right? And Amonthul can drop a Blizzard. They said they're it's basically forced, right? It's forced personal loot, where like you can't master loot it or anything. It's just like randomly given to like some players, and it's like a really good trinket. It's a legendary, and it's 1,000 item level, and you can use it on top of
1,000? What the fuck? Really?
Yeah, dude, 1,000. That's where we're at now. 1,000 item level.
Holy shit.
They're like scaling it back in the new expansion though.
Do you know what it's gonna be? The number?
So basically 1,000 I think goes to 280. That's kind of like where it's at. So like 280 right now is like Lich King, like heroic Lich King.
Oh wow, so numbers are gonna be going down too, right? You're not gonna be seeing a million hits. Okay.
No, not for probably another expansion. Like the scaling now is insane.
Yeah. Was it weird? Or is it weird? Didn't they do that for an expansion? They did the shrink.
They did it for WoD. Like at the end of Mists of Pandaria, they did it.
Was it as big as this shrink?
Or
bigger. Is it gonna be?
It's gonna be bigger. This one's gonna be bigger.
I feel like it doesn't. Do you think it really changes the gameplay a lot? I don't personally. I don't mind.
I don't really think so. I think that it's indicative. Like if you have to rescale the entire game every other expansion, there's probably a problem with the game, right? And I think that they should deal with that. But I mean, really, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't, especially in terms of playability. But I always thought that it was cool in like Wrath. Whenever I finally saw somebody with like 100,000 health, and I finally had 10,000 health in Burning Crusade. There are like these things that you knew that you would get to like in like a couple expansions or something like that. And people always imagine like, what would it be like hitting for 1 million? I think that's cool, but it's not really something that Blizzard should design a game around.
I totally agree, man.
Yeah. Did you get it?
Wait, hold up. Gandalf's talking. Who are these dudes?
And you doing a cinematic?
The cinematic.
Okay, so basically, Gandalf is the leader of the Titans, and then the girl next to him is another Titan, and then Sargeras, right? The asshole.
Yeah. Yep,
okay, well they've got to get rid of him and put him back in jail, basically, and Illidan stays behind to be the jailer of Sargeras, which makes no sense because he had no Illidan's just like a night elf and Sargeras is a Titan. I don't know how that works, but it's supposed to work. And then Valen and everybody else. Yeah,
Sargeras is the big motherfucker.
He's the big motherfucker.
Okay,
that's right.
Is he the one that stabs Azeroth?
Yes, he's the one. That's why he's the asshole.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and
is he the overarching? Isn't he like the main villain?
So they've retconned this like twice, and yeah, he is basically the main villain. He's like the Satan of WoW, and I think he killed all the other Titans, and now they just have like their essences around, and he's the only actual Titan that exists. I think that's how it works. I'm not entirely sure.
So all those dudes were Titans in there, and they're all dead. So it's all their essences.
Okay, my chat's telling me no, lol. Okay, so I probably should read this again. But Sargeras is very, very powerful, and they had to put their essences together to like imprison him, and that way that would end like the Burning Crusade, and like the demons would no longer be a threat to like Azeroth and other people too. Because like Sargeras, they made Sargeras into being like kind of like somebody who, like before he was just purely evil, right? And now they have it where they're like these guys called the Void Lords, and Sargeras is trying to destroy all planets and all other Titans to where they don't get corrupted by the Void Lords. So he views himself, I guess, like, or you can view him as like a necessary evil, which was a bit of a retcon. But yeah, kind of like Thanos in a way, in the comics. yeah, and
I could see that.
Right, so I think it's okay for them to like retcon some things. It's fine, but that's basically what happened. And then
do you think like I could see him like die getting in power somehow or getting out of it and keeping Illidan as a prisoner, or maybe killing Illidan.
I think what's more likely is there's going to be a Void Lord expansion somewhere in like 5 or 6 years from now.
Wait,
and
what?
A Void Lord expansion.
In 5 or 6 years, you think they're gonna really?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're printing money with this game. Like, people keep buying the expansions. Of course, they're going to keep making games.
Oh no, I know, but
yeah,
it's like it's just more interesting in the sense of like 5 years, because one expansion every. When did Legion come out?
I think it's gonna be like almost 2 years. Basically, Legion was out for about 2 years.
Okay, so like in the 2 expansions, you'll see Void Lord stuff.
Yeah, something like that. And then whenever the Void Lords do come out, then you'll have Sargeras and Illidan come out of hiding, and then maybe Sargeras will actually work with you, which for somebody who's played the game forever seems absolutely ridiculous, but it's plausible. Yeah, it could be kind of weird. Yeah, they've taken things in a pretty awkward direction, but hopefully BFA like will kind of scale things back, because it's like, where do you go after you just defeated a Titan and imprisoned, this like other Titan, and you've ended the Burning Crusade? What are you gonna go do after that? Are you really gonna have people like go back and collect poop or something like that to level up again? Yeah, it's a little bit silly, but
oh my God,
that's basically what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, essentially, we're gonna be leveling from 110 to 120, and you're still gonna be killing boars or whatever the fuck is the animal for someone.
Yeah. Well, they scaled everything back, and I think that's good. I really do. I'm like, the thing is, like, it's okay to just be an adventurer. Like, I think that's kind of cool, because whenever you like, how much like did you ever do like role playing?
I mean, nah, but I used to watch like the only roleplay I saw was towelliee, when he used to do shit in Moonguard, and he used to like, he used to like fuck people. Oh, well, try to.
I know all about that.
I saw the depths. I saw.
Okay, you've seen the depths of depravity of WoW role playing. Yeah,
I've seen it.
Well, I think also like everybody, at least like to me, like kind of I don't know if this is like a dumb thing to say or not, but whenever I play a game, I view like a character as like the visual representation of like myself as like a person, and I'm just like kind of, this is my avatar, right? And like one thing that I think is kind of an issue with like a lot of RPG games, and like WoW specifically, is that they direct your character's narrative, right? Whereas before you were able to just kind of like, I'm a warrior from this spot, and I'm like just this kind of rogue like warrior or something like that. And now like they basically tell you, okay, your character's doing this, your character's doing that in the lore. And I think like directing a character's lore is like not really something that they should do a lot in an RPG.
Yeah. No, I agree. And do you think they're doing that more and more?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, like,
especially with now BFA.
Well, you've got the class order hall. Like, they literally tell, like, there's. Did you do the paladin one?
Paladin?
Yeah,
no,
the paladin. You get Ashbringer.
Even on my main. Oh yeah. That was dumb as fuck.
You get Ashbringer. I mean, literally the sword of Tyrion Fordring used to shatter Frostmourne, and like, yeah, you're the High Lord, and you see another guy that's next to you, and it's like, oh yeah, he's the High Lord too. You're both High Lords. It's like, give me a fucking break.
That's dumb. That is dumb. I feel like that is when it's like they're just gonna give everyone everything, like everything they wanted.
Yeah.
In WoW, or everything that made everything unique. It's like, oh, we'll just throw it out there. But I mean, that was weird. That is weird. You see so many of them everywhere. I mean, at least they're getting rid of them, but it's already happened.
Well, it's not even about the thing, right? It's about the logic behind it. Like, what's the philosophy behind these changes? Like, why do they want to give everybody Ashbringer, right? Like, to me, that's much more interesting than, the actual change itself. And I think it's kind of weird that they've made these types of changes that, they give everybody everything. And I don't think it's a big surprise at that point whenever people don't feel like they're really, like, as motivated to play, or they don't really feel as good about, like making their character better, etc. It's unfortunate though. It really is. Like, but I really hope that BFA is better, and I also hope that, like, I wish that Blizzard had a way, as I said, just to get better player feedback. I think that's a big issue that they have, is that like everything is like just so elevated, right? Like, people, they act like a change in the game is like you know, a fundamental like affront to their, you know, their lifestyle or something like that. It's just it's way too intense. And I think if people could like kind of scale things back a little bit, it'd probably be better for everybody. Like I know,
are you
go ahead.
You're looking forward to BFA overall though?
I am nervously, like, I don't really know if I'm really looking forward to it. Like, I guess kind of, like, it's a new expansion. There's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. Like, I want BFA to come out, but there's a lot of things that I'm not looking forward to as well, right? And it's one of those things, like, it's probably the first expansion that I haven't just been overwhelmingly positive towards. I will definitely say that.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, whenever Legion was going to come out, I thought Legion was going to suck because WoD sucked. I was like, okay, yeah, Legion's going to be bad, WoD's bad, game's dead.
But Legion surprised you?
Legion was not as bad as I thought it was.
Okay.
I thought WoD was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that happened. I wasn't too happy about that. But, I mean, yeah, I hope that it's good. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Personally, I never liked the whole garrison bullshit. I thought it was tedious. Did you like it?
It's one of those things where, like, I like some things about it, but as a system, it just isolated players. Everybody was sitting in their own garrison, and the garrisons were too big. Like, they were too, like, you have, like, level 3 is, like, Stormwind. Oh, you have your own miniature Stormwind. Give it a break. Like, the level 2 garrison should have been the top. Like, it was way too much. I get,
I
yeah.
See why you could say that, too. No, that makes sense.
I did really enjoy, what do you call it? I did enjoy garrisons in a lot of ways, though. I definitely did. They were fun for me. But overall, I don't think that they were good for the game. I think that they could have been implemented in a good way, but they weren't. Like, did you ever do a thing where you could go around and cut down trees?
A little bit.
That shit was awesome.
I barely played WoD, honestly.
That's good.
WoD was probably the least amount of expansion I've ever played, I want to say.
There's a lot of people that are like that, actually. But I think that, like, WoD... Like, I think Blizzard learned a lot of things from WoD, and I think they used that in Legion. There was a lot of things, like content. There was a lot of content in Legion. Even if you hate Legion, etc., there was a lot of content in Legion. Yeah. A lot of that was, like, kind of repetitive, etc. But I would say overall it was not... It certainly wasn't the worst expansion, okay? I would say it was better... Where would you rank Legion? Yeah.
Legion, okay. I would say for me it goes I will put BC over vanilla because BC is when I actually started caring a lot more about the game and actually like did everything I possibly could to play the game and experience it fully. So I'd say BC vanilla. No, BC vanilla Wrath. I'd say I like MoP more than Legion because I rated way more in MoP.
Yeah.
So I'd say MoP, Legion, WoD. Was that all of them?
Yeah. Cataclysm.
Oh, dude, Cata was pretty fucking...
yeah.
Cata was like... Shit, man. I'd say Cata and Legion were equal to me. Is that weird?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that, like...
No, I'm sorry. Cata and MoP were honestly kind of like... No, MoP was better than Cata. I'd say MoP, Legion.
So,
I don't know, man.
For me, like, I had... Like, there's a lot of nostalgia in Cataclysm for me, right? Because that's whenever I was, like, just hanging out with my friends all the time and all of that, right? So it's kind of hard for me to separate that from, like, the actual game itself. I think Cataclysm had a lot of good things, but also there was, like, almost no in-game content. Like, the raids were, like... The raids in Cata were just so much harder than the raids in, like Burning Crusade or Wrath, right? I mean, even Heroic Lich King.
The raids in Cata...
Yeah, they were way harder.
Which one were the Cata raids? I only remember the Deathwing.
The Deathwing Cataclysm was Bastion of Twilight, which is where you fought Shogal, and then Sinestra, which was like the hard mode only boss. It was like Alakir.
I loved the heroic Shogal fight. I really liked that. That dungeon or that raid was pretty damn good.
There's Firelands too. Firelands was awesome. I really liked Firelands. Yeah, that was really fun.
Rag and everything.
Yep. There were a lot of good things about Kata. Like I liked Kata overall. It was a good expansion. But as I said, I think that there is like a pretty good amount of nostalgia there for me personally, just because of like my whole like my life situation at that point. But overall,
See, that's the thing.
I would rate them probably about the same.
The same, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, the way I did it?
Yeah. About.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Besides, like, obviously, like, Vanilla would be my favorite, BC would be my second favorite, like, Wrath my third favorite. I wasn't really a big fan of Wrath, but I liked it more than the other ones. So what were you gonna ask?
I liked just because, I mean, Wrath I got really into the whole...
Oh, the storyline and everything?
Yeah, the storyline, and then I really liked... I think one of the coolest raiding moments was when seeing the raid or the world's first kill of heroic Lich King.
Oh, dude, Paragon! I watched that video like 5 times, man. Like I was so hyped for it.
It was Paragon and maybe someone else. Was Paragon that he was like "Uso tonto"?
That was Paragon.
That was the fucking like 10 out of 10 video. I got so hyped for them.
It was just
it
like
was because it was such a hard fight, right? Well, it was so fucking difficult.
It was really, really hard. No guild beat it on 25 man before they implemented the buff. Like Paragon beat it with the 5% buff, and nobody else was even able to beat it with the 5% until like later on. So it was like one of those definitive. It was probably like, you know, like how some boss kills, like there's always something that kind of muddies the waters, like, oh, you know, who's really the best guild, etc. But Paragon came in there and they just beat that boss, and nobody else was able to do it until the 10% buff.
They fucking spanked it, dude.
And that was just, it felt so good to just watch that video, and like the heroic Lich King, and you know, he had like 100 million health, which back then was insane. I don't know, it was just like the whole thing about it. Like, I remember I was in programming class in community college, and I watched the first Lich King kill on like, you know, some like bootleg version of Twitch or something like that. And I remember that so clearly. And
wait, you watched it live?
I watched it live.
Damn.
Yeah, I almost failed the class, but you know, I got to watch the Lich King. That's the one thing I do remember. And yeah, I mean, it was really, really cool. And I think that building up those villains, right, like somebody that like people want to kill, right, and I think that's something that they really need to do a good job at. I don't know, like, it's one of the things, like, a lot of, especially after, like, the success of Game of Thrones, I think that a lot of, like, storytelling, like, I guess, like, you know, games and everything, they go towards, like, morally gray characters, which are, like, you know, like, Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, and, you know, like, all of the characters, like, obviously you have, like, Jon Snow, right, which is pretty much, like, purely a good guy, but everywhere else is kind of everyone else, like, has... in a way, like, redeeming features, and then also you can understand why they do what they do. And with with Warcraft, it's kind of the same thing. But like with Lich King was like possessed by like the helmet and everything, so it wasn't like entirely his fault that he was doing it. But everybody knew the Lich King was the bad guy, and we had to get him.
Yep.
And I feel like that...
like, it was a goal everyone... Wait, did you not like that? Because it's like...
No, I liked it. I thought it was good, right? It definitely was. The same thing with, like, Sargeras, like, up until the point that they changed it, right? It's like, Sargeras, okay, this is Space Satan. We got to get him. That's it. You know, it's simple.
Satan, that's exactly him.
Yeah, there you go. But, yeah, I thought
like
the Lich King was really good.
With fucking BFA coming...
Yeah.
Just like you said, okay, we killed Titans and all this shit. And we've killed an old god, or a couple. How many have we killed? I don't know.
You can't kill old gods.
Well, okay, well, I guess, what do you call it? You suppressed him or something?
Yeah, suppressed him.
Okay. So, I mean, you have...
That's important because they're just going to bring them back over and over. That's why I'm saying it.
Pretty much. Yeah. Exactly. No, that's exactly how it is. Isn't that how Illidan came back too?
Yeah, basically, like, Illidan's dead, and then you put him in jail, and now he's a good guy that's gonna save the world. Yeah.
I mean, shit, dude. And you know, they might pull out Illidan, but they're gonna probably be... he's on cooldown right now.
Yes, but, he's on cooldown.
What about what happened to the dude who at the end of Lich King, the guy who decided to put the helmet on? Bolvar. You think he's ever gonna make a comeback?
That's the thing, is like they're making the Lich King morally gray. He's the fucking Lich King. Like, come on, he's supposed to make everybody die, and You know, this is like, how is the Lich King gonna be like, oh yeah, we're working? And it's like, nah, man, I want to see the Lich King like, he should always be like evil, right? I think it was like kind of, maybe it was a mistake to make Bolvar the Lich King. You know, they could have made somebody that was like more evil or like worse. Like they could have made like Sylvanas the Lich King, right? Or Lich Queen, right? Maybe that would have been more interesting. Who knows? Maybe they might do that now.
Maybe Sylvanas turning. I mean, I was talking to a dude, a lore master based god, and he was saying that the main villain is gonna be a old god. I just don't. I forgot who it's gonna be.
N'Zoth.
N'Zoth. Yes. Do you think that's who it's gonna be?
Probably. Yeah. So basically, here's what I think it's gonna be. First tier is gonna be like, okay, Alliance and a Horde. We don't like each other for whatever reason, right? Second tier is gonna be Queen Ashara. And it's going to be kind of like Star Wars in a way, where like the first part of it is like, okay, you're fighting against Darth Vader, and that's Queen Ashara. And then you find out that actually Darth Sidious is behind everything, and that's going to be N'Zoth. I think that's what's going to happen. So first tier will probably be like it's like this blood god, Gahoon, fat guy. And then second one is going to be Queen Ashara. Then the third one is going to be the old god. That's kind of what I'm expecting is going to happen.
Okay. 100%?
I would bet on it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, who knows?
Are you okay with that, though? You're fine with that?
I mean, like...
I mean, do you like the way that part of the lore is going?
So, I don't really know. Like, Queen Ashara, like, I don't know what they can do to build up villains to be more compelling than they already are, right? Because like Queen Ashara is a big part of the lore, but nobody really cares, right? I mean, she just shows up occasionally and then she's gone, and that's about it. Like, I think that it could be compelling, but I feel like they should do a lot more to like create new characters in the lore rather than like resurrecting like with Illidan or just like kind of tapping on old ones, right? Just they need to have new characters in the lore that can kind of that they can be the Lich King in like 5 years, right? That people care about. And it's like Khadgar, I think, is a good example of them doing it correctly, right? Khadgar was in the lore before, but he was just like kind of just like some random guy that just sat around. And now he's like kind of almost your guide in the game. And I like that.
Do you think that's actually very interesting? What if they are trying to make the new Lich King? You think it's been like that for a while? That's been their goal? Like they're trying to build someone up to maybe be to his level, or at least make you feel like this is someone you need to defeat, or someone everyone's going to rally up behind?
So if it was going to be anybody, it would probably be Sylvanas, right? And that's what would make sense to me. I actually don't know what that would be. Like, I think that would be really interesting, but also I think Blizzard, like, a lot of those stories are kind of the same thing. Like, Sylvanas is a very complicated character, so I don't know if they would actually make her into being the Lich King. Like, if they did that, that would be really cool. But
not even the Lich King, but just like a massive fucking character that everyone needs to band together to kill.
I think a lot of people don't like Sylvanas. Like, in general, a lot of people don't like Sylvanas. And it seems like what they're doing in BFA is they're making Sylvanas more unlikable. Just by, like, her actions that seem kind of illogical, etc., and making her, like, kind of act more crazy. So if they do that, then yeah, maybe they are setting her up to be a raid boss. I don't know how I'd really feel about that, because, like, Sylvanas, I think, is a very good character. But at the same time, like, maybe that's what would make her a good villain. You know, that would make her compelling. But again, like, she's also a Warcraft 3 character, right? I mean, that's kind of like what it all comes back to, is that all of these major villains are all Warcraft 3. Garrosh is an exception. I guess, like, the old gods are an exception, but all the other ones are mainly, like, Warcraft 3 that people care about.
Yeah, all the OGs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of it can be a little bit boring, right? Because, like, you worry that they're gonna run out of people, basically. And,
no, that's exactly what it is. Like, who else are you gonna care about? Or you have to wait and then slowly get drip fed lore and information about the different like Anduin now. I know a lot of people don't like Anduin. Do you like Anduin?
He's a bitch.
Okay.
He's a bit. Yeah. All right, let's be real. Do you?
No, I don't like him at all.
Okay, good.
Nah. That's why I said he's kind of like a Tommen type.
Yeah.
He's a shit. Like, he doesn't seem like a king. It's like, okay, let someone else do this.
Yeah, it's like, where's your dad? It's kind of, yeah, it is kind of like weird that he's the king now. I feel like I don't know who else really would have been king, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, if they could have made somebody else king, but at the same time, like, yeah, I mean, Anduin, it doesn't really make me feel proud playing Alliance. I mean, Sylvanas is kind of the same thing. It's like, Sylvanas is just in it for herself, and
wait, that's a good question. Why do you play Alliance?
Because my friend wanted to play Alliance because he wanted to be a paladin, and so in order to be a paladin.
Yeah, that's a bullshit excuse, Asmongold. There's race change and faction change now. Okay, you can change.
You're right. But I've already invested all this time into Alliance. I have all of my gold here, all of my friends here. My mom plays Alliance. All of my friends are on Alliance. I know where all the flight paths are on Alliance. There's no way I'm gonna change that now.
You're Alliance for life. I respect that. You're Alliance to the core.
I mean, the thing is, like, the faction pride, etc. I don't care, you know, like, it's.
Yeah, I don't care either, honestly.
Yeah, it's like some people are red. I have Horde characters too. It's not a big thing. Like, there are actually people that are legitimately angry that I play Alliance, and it's like, you know, this is a game, right? Like, I mean, if I have to tell them it's a game, that's a problem.
That's what you have to be worried about.
Yeah.
People. I have people who get mad because I decide to play a specific game that apparently they don't like. So it's probably the same thing with factions. People get really into it.
Well, it's especially like, I could only imagine.
Some people probably don't watch because you're a lot.
They're
like, fuck this scum.
Yeah. They have no honor. Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like that. Like, WoW has like all these micro communities, and I don't know any game that's like that. You have people that like, I only PvE, right? I only PvP. It is, except for whenever Blizzard has to micromanage all these micro communities.
Then it's like, no, 100%. But maybe because that's why the game is so goddamn big.
I think that there is like, there's room to say that. I definitely think that there's room to say that. But it's kind of, it's a back and forth, right? I think that one thing that they do a lot is they try to make the game better for one micro community, then it makes it worse for all the other ones, right? And I'd like it if they just designed the game. Like, back in BC, it felt like they were just straight up just trying to design a badass game, right? A good game that's rewarding without making it like, okay, well, what about people that only do this, and what about people that only do that, and people that, you know, they're just like, okay, how can we make a game that is cool, that's awesome, that's rewarding, that people are going to like? And now it just seems like everything is like kind of catering to these different interest groups.
I can see that. Do you think they need to focus more?
I think they should look at the game as World of Warcraft rather than looking at it as like PvP, PvE, etc. And they should make all the different aspects of the game function together and be necessary and rewarding and fun, and not necessarily like let people isolate themselves.
Asmongold, you need to get in on the dev side of them. You need to somehow, we got to get in contact with Blizzard. And do you think, actually, you know what, before I even say this, because you might be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Would you want to do that? Do you think you have ideas that benefit the game in the long run?
I don't know, because I don't know what the long run is.
See,
like,
that's true. I mean, but do you think you have, or you know what the players want, or what would be okay if they introduce like, oh, we're gonna do this or this, and the majority say this, but you could argue for the other side?
Well, I think
it made sense.
It's an interesting discussion to have, right? Because if you ask people, a lot of people would say that they want all the best gear in the game, right? And if you gave that to them, they would just quit the game. It's like having cheat codes in GTA or whatever. Like, you just play it for like a few hours, and then it's like, that was fun, I'm done. Giving people what they want isn't really important. I think it's more important to give people what they need. And would I be a good developer? I don't know anything about coding. As I said, I failed that programming class.
No coding. Just like design decisions. Like, Titan forging with that type of shit, like the pros, the
I
cons.
I
how you
think
can
what I
change
would
it to
do
benefit
is
both.
I would make micro changes, and I would
Okay.
also like let Classic come out and see like how players react to Classic, because Classic is a way to like look at, you know, the current iteration of the game and also like the original game and have like that juxtaposition in 2018, right? And you can't look at it, you can't be like, oh, that's rose-tinted goggles or anything. You just look at those two games right next to each other and you say, what do people like right now? And I think that'd be a really good way to educate how to move the game forward. And if people really like that kind of stuff that maybe Blizzard thought they wouldn't like, then they could add it into the game. I think it would be more incremental, right? I wouldn't be like, I don't like LFR, for example. I wouldn't be
Yep.
like, yeah, I'm going to take LFR out on day one, because there's nothing to replace it with. Like that, you don't just do that. It's kind of like if somebody, I actually, I don't, I was gonna say like cutting off somebody's arm would be good, but I actually don't know anything about medical stuff, so that's probably wrong. But what I am saying is like, just cutting it off like right at the beginning like wouldn't be the best idea. The best idea obviously would be to, you know, look at what players want and try to figure out like how to move the game forward in a direction that's fulfilling to players, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean taking things out of the game or putting things in the game or just changing them. I think making things change incrementally would probably be the smartest way of doing it, and that's what I would probably do if I was a dev. Like,
Okay.
or just giving players like I think another thing is like giving like people a sense of control. I think that's a big thing for me, right? Because like as I said, and I think this is what you were saying too, like with the societal structure and everything. Like whenever
Yeah.
people can just get really good gear by being lucky, that sounds
Yep.
a lot like real life, you know? And
No,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, exactly. So I think it kind
Life
of
is RNG.
yeah, like God damn, dude, that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
It is. No, man,
It's
100%.
true. It is so true, though. Like, I mean, everything is just random in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously you work towards things, and people that are in there swinging get more chances and more chances at the bat and everything. Yeah, sure. But for the most part, yeah, I think that you're right.
You need
I
a
mean,
Titan Forge harder, Asmongold.
yeah. I need I needed some Titan forged hair. Like, I'm going bald. It's completely RNG. I had no control over that.
I've seen the baldness. I'm
You-
heading in that
oh,
direction.
come
I'm
on,
just-
man.
Look, I'm good at hiding.
Come on.
I'm good at masking it. I promise. All right, maybe one day if
All
we ever
right.
meet, I'll show you my head. Okay.
All right. Okay, dude. I'll
You know,
keep that in mind.
You might be balding.
Yeah.
You're balding at a faster rate. Okay.
Yeah.
But I will be there.
Yeah. It's
Maybe there is a cure.
well, at least you have like the theme of not using a face cam, right? So they don't really they can't make the joke while you're right there and they just say like, "Hey man, you look more bald than usual today. You know, what's been happening? You know, stressed out or anything?" So
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah. I gotta hear it all the time. But yeah,
At the same time, you don't think you're ever gonna go bald, and then it hits you. So you know what? You can make fun of Asmongold, but then one day you're gonna look in the mirror and be like, "Wait,
that's
what?
the thing, dude,
going
is I've
on?"
got these like 12-year-olds from like Sweden or something like that watching my stream making fun of me. It's like
Oh
by the
my
time they're
God.
like 20, they're probably gonna look worse than I am. You know?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I think it's funny, you know, because it's like they're laughing and ha ha ha. It's like, yeah, it's gonna happen to you too. How about that? Or something. Speaking of that, actually, this is a kind of tangential. Did you play Bless Online?
You mean Bless Omega Lol End line?
No, I mean Bless Offline.
Oh, Bless Offline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting experience. I mean, what do you say? I mean, for me, I went in it and I was like, I don't know shit about this game.
Yeah.
I'm in the mood for an MMO. It'll surprise me, and it seemed like it was dated. Like it didn't feel like, oh shit, this is something from 2018. It felt like something from when like SWTOR launched or some shit, you know?
You know what? It was like it was out in Asia or something like that for like 7 years. So that's actually a very
Yeah.
good like judgment. Yeah, I see. I never really played it at all. Like before it came to NA. To me, did you play Black Desert?
I did. The thing is, Black Desert was cool, but I didn't like the overarching, like there wasn't like a full out Trinity. If you took Black Desert and added like WoW mechanics to it, in
That'd
the
be
sense of,
good,
like,
dude.
yeah,
That'd
if
be
you
good.
did that, I'd play that shit, you know?
Yeah, I would too. Like I liked it a lot.
PvP, PvE raids, that type of combat, those type of classes,
Yeah.
those graphics. Oh, the graphics are still fucking incredible. Shit, so.
I love Black Desert. And there's a lot of things I liked about it. Did you ever get to the point where you'd like upgrade jewelry?
Wasn't I never got to that point, but I heard about it. Isn't it like crazy?
It was
fucking
so stupid,
RNG?
dude. It was so stupid. So you would take 2 rings, and you would put them together, and there was a 50% chance, even if you had all of your stacks of like luck, all set up, a 50% chance that your 2 rings would just get deleted. Like they're gone. Like the first time I did it, I thought it was an actual bug because I couldn't believe that the game would actually work that way. So
you can get so fucked in the game.
well, imagine like spending like hours, like weeks. Like you spend 1 week to farm 1 ring, 1 week to farm another ring. You put them together, and that's 2 weeks down the fucking drain. Like,
oh my God.
I would be so upset. And at that point, I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna quit. But
I feel like who makes these decisions? It's just scary to even think about.
People on another part of the world, like they do games much differently over there. I get it, but honestly, Bless Online seemed like a shittier version of Black Desert. Like that's really what it was.
Yeah. I could see that. Maybe the difference. Obviously, it's like you need to experience the very specific. Like you gotta go and queue up for this. You gotta do that. Very specific changes. From the outside, it does look like a shittier Black Desert Online.
100%, dude.
But I mean, yeah, it failed in 2 regions. I don't know. I'm surprised they even had enough money to even launch or try again in a 3rd.
Well, of course they did, because they're selling the game for $150.
Oh yeah, for the crazy
Yeah.
founders. Oh fuck that. That's insane.
What a clown show, man. Like, imagine spending $150 for a game that doesn't even work. It was just, it's pretty funny to think.
And you know, when I played it, I did see the people who spent the 150 because you could see them. They had like the armor sets and shit, and the specific mounts. I think you get.
Yeah,
for 150,
yeah, you got a
so,
special.
You know.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that I played with, some that had it too. I kind of feel bad for them, especially if they're only going to play it on one day. But I guess, you know, it's an expensive lesson to learn.
Exactly.
Do
you think there will be an MMO?
Another. So
WoW
the next.
2,
all right. So I think WoW 2. I don't know. I think it's a possibility, but also like
I
WoW.
Like that you say that. That makes me happy that you think it's a possibility.
Yo, dude, what if they did this? What if they had Warcraft 4, and then WoW 2?
Dude,
that's I know, dude. I know, man.
My God.
I would love that so much. Like
I wouldn't even, if it's like a brand new world, like you said, they reset the world of in Final Fantasy. They're like, okay, it's a new timeline or whatever the fuck they did.
Yeah.
Even if they did that and did a Warcraft 4, I will follow.
I wouldn't complain. I'd just be like, yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be totally fine. WoW 2, I mean, see, the thing is, I don't know if there's
the market.
There's always gonna yeah. The market is there. Games are getting more casual, I guess you could say, or more. Well, actually, are they?
I think that they
online games.
I think that to an
Online
extent they are, right? I think that because games reach such a larger audience now, and there's a lot more people that are willing to play a casual game. Yeah, especially with console, etc. I do think, however,
WoW 2 would launch on console.
I don't know. I mean, like, how big are like? See, that's the thing, is I feel like consoles are really big for like kids, right? Because kids can't really, put together a whole computer, etc. Right? It's at least it's harder, and it's harder to do rather than just getting mom to buy you an Xbox for Christmas. So I don't know. Like, in my opinion, I think the next big MMO will happen in VR. That's my opinion, because like, or
I hope not. Personally, I
hate
not.
VR.
Yeah,
I think it's stupid. The goggles are stupid. The whole idea is stupid. Like, I didn't like the Wii. I don't like waving my arms around. I like sitting there like a couch potato and playing the game. The only thing I do is I move my hands up and down whenever I get mad in the game. That's it.
I played there's a Orbis VR. It's essentially it's an MMO on VR.
Yeah.
I get like a headache if I play too much VR. So I
Really?
just started getting a headache and stuff like that. But like just the traditional mouse keyboard is like the way to go for an MMO. I don't think VR. I think VR MMO could be the next thing, and it's a high possibility. But I don't want it to be.
I don't want it to be either.
I want it to be an amazing mouse and keyboard game.
I want it to be something that has like the combat of Black Desert, the graphics of Witcher 3, and the like the world of World of Warcraft. You know, that's what I would like to see. Like,
I think one of the biggest points is the world.
I think it matters a lot. I mean, it really does, because people are like, same with the Lich King, right? Like people would, I mean, they resubbed. They're like, oh man, you know, the Lich King is out. Like that was cool in itself. It wasn't like, oh, new raid is out. No, the Lich King is out specifically. Same with Illidan and Deathwing to a lesser extent.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah, there's so much lore. There's the history, the all the characters and shit, man. Everything's so established.
Exactly. I mean, it's really hard for like a new game to come in there. Like, I mean, look at Elder Scrolls. I mean, Elder Scrolls had a hard time, and they have an established game too. Yeah, they're very established. Like, I think that like, how do you feel about like sci-fi MMOs? Like, I've never really been a big fan.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. When I play an MMO, I need fantasy.
I want to see like swords and dragons and wizards and shit.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
100%. Like, fuck sci-fi. I love sci-fi. Like, if done right, I love Battlestar Galactica, all that shit. I love it. But when it comes to my MMOs, and when it comes if someone's like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, I'm the Lord of the Rings type.
That's right,
I need
dude.
fantasy.
That's right.
I need dragons.
That's
I need
right.
fucking crazy armor that glows and shit. When you have swords, shields, axes, like that is where it's cool. When you have pew pew lasers, get the fuck out of here.
It's just too much. It's silly, man. Like, I don't know what it is about it. Hell no. Because I don't like the sci-fi MMOs. I saw it. I was like, this is dumb. Like, I saw other people play it, and it looked okay, right? I mean, like, obviously it could certainly be worse. But for me personally, like, it was never really something I was super excited about, or I really cared about a lot. It was just kind of one of those things that you would just do, I guess.
No. I see what you're saying. I mean, I was into it just because I got into it because it was everyone. You know when like a shit ton of MMOs came out and they were like, oh shit, is this gonna be the WoW?
The
killer?
Rift,
Oh, shit,
Aeon, Terra. You remember that? What was that? Like 2011 or 2012?
There was like a huge
God.
gap of years where it was constant new MMO. Stop.
Yeah, it was not good at all. Like
And
they all
was
sucked.
always like, is this the WoW killer? Is this it? And I tried every single one trying to make myself experience.
Just so you could see like what the
WoW.
other options were.
And then you just always just go back to fucking WoW.
You just
man.
It's like, yeah, you can never get back from it. Like I felt kind of the same way. I really liked playing what do you call it? I like playing Black Desert a lot, but it just there was so much of a time investment that I really just didn't have. I couldn't do it. And there's a lot of games like that.
Did you hit max level?
Well, there was no max level. So the way that it worked is that you were able to you just couldn't get to max level. You would just keep leveling. I got up to like 55, which was kind of like the soft cap there. And at that point, there were no like monsters that would really give you a lot of experience. But at the same time, I was just like, I don't know. It just the thing is, I got into a really good guild, and there was just like so much expectations. Like, oh, I had to be online for this. I had to be online for that. And then I was trying to do my stream. I was trying to do my YouTube videos. I just didn't have time. Like, and I would rather not play the game than be like mediocre at it. And I know that might sound kind of weird, but that's always kind of how I've been. I wanted to just like go full in on a game.
You want to go all out. No,
yeah.
That's not weird at all, bro. Like, you want a main game and you want to fully invest your time in a main game.
Yeah,
I mean, the type of person who likes having a main game.
Well, are you like that? Because like obviously since you stream variety, I mean it must be kind of hard to do that, right?
It is hard because it's hard because I'm starting to go a bit more. Dude, I've been doing this shit for like 7 fucking years.
It's been a while.
Like,
yeah, dude, you've been around forever.
It's really hard to stick with a game, and you know, it's not only because of streaming, it's also my fault. But I miss having one game to always go to.
Kind of like PUBG was like that for a while, and it's kind of lost its steam.
I mean, the thing is, well, this is when I say a main game, I mean I'm comparing it to like playing a game for years. PUBG, I'm over it for the most part.
Yeah.
I visit it here and there, but that lasted less than a year. Fortnite, I'm essentially over it. That lasted less than a year. But like the days of, oh shit, I can get into this game for 6 years plus, or like a WoW or whatever the fuck, you know, it's not. I miss that feeling.
Do you think that we'll have games like that again?
Hobby. No, I don't think so.
I think that the only way that we'll have them is in the capacity that WoW is, right? With expansions and like subs and everything like that. Because that's the only way that they're going to make money.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad though that like everybody, like all these systems and all that are just completely built around money, right? And I understand it. Like, I mean, obviously I get it. It's not like I'm like dumb or, you know, I'm like delusional. Yeah, sure. But it's kind of sad. It definitely is.
It is sad, but... And I don't know if anything's going to change because, I mean, you know, all the people who have been vocal and all the, like, all these people, you know, and all these people who have been gamers and everything.
Yeah.
We've all grown up, and I wonder how many of these people are still gamers. And I bet the majority of them all are still gamers, even though they have lives and whatever the fuck. All the people you grew up with, I think they still play video games. But that makes me wonder, because we have now grown up in a generation or a group of people who... where gaming is a lot more. It's not Pac-Man anymore. It's fucking big ass titles, like massive games.
It's like million. I mean,
more money.
They pay people just to do motion tracking.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. I mean, you think about how much effort and time that takes. Like, yeah, they're really like games now are like much different than games how they used to be, and like I don't really know how to feel about that. And
I feel like because we're growing up and everything, if you want to call it millennials or anything.
Yeah,
it's more intertwined in our lives, I guess, and we can take it more seriously or relate to it a lot more seriously.
Right.
And I wonder if that influence and us taking over are the people who, you know, because everyone who did grow up, who knows where they ended up? Maybe they ended up in some sort of software area or whatever the fuck, and they will change, or what they grew up with, whether it was MMO or whatever the fuck, maybe they will push. What I'm trying to say is I'm curious how, with us and our generation growing up and everyone we know getting jobs and stuff, and however successful they are, how they will change gaming in the future. Because these people who have been in gaming, and how the devs when we were kids are going to retire eventually, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They're going to move on. So our ideals and what we think of, I wonder how that will change the gaming landscape. I don't know if I said that correctly.
I think that
you know what I mean.
The main problem with that is I think that what devs want to do is probably different than what companies want to do. Because I think a lot of developers probably want to do, in a lot of ways, probably what we want to do. But that might not be what's going to make the most money. And at the end of the day, they're a company that's publicly traded and they have the stock obligation, right? The profit obligation. And that's what they do. And it's sad that we're in that situation, but that's where we're at. I mean, they're doing it for money. I mean, and this isn't a bad thing. Like, doing it for money isn't a bad thing at all. But at the same time, whenever money is, you know, overcomes and I guess like takes precedent over, you know, creative choice and, you know, the satisfaction that people get out of it, I feel like that's a really like dangerous road to go down.
And like I was saying, and you agreed with, it's getting worse. So
yeah, I think it is.
You can see it with WoW too. I mean, whether it's Activision, whether it's fucking Tencent, whatever the fuck, it is getting worse. And
every little bit, man.